starting the Collabversation, and now starting the Collabversation. All right, welcome back everyone after a break. We're now doing the Collabversation and the Collabversation version 3.0. And I say let's start with a synthesis of exactly where we're at in terms of the intentional city in the clouds, or intentional city in the cloud, however we end up naming it, singular or plural. And please just jump in if you have something to add, or a question or comment, or something you disagree with, or anything at all. It's all fair game, okay? So we, in form of summary and synthesis, we feel very strongly about co-creating a new space, a different kind of space, an intentional city in the clouds, or ICIC as the acronym, as well as kind of an encapsulation of the experience we want people to have upon arriving at the intentional city, which is I see, wow. And in a way, you know, some of the analogies we've been throwing around are creating something like a Montessori school or a Waldorf school in the clouds for the different change makers and intentional communities to come together in a broader intentional city within which it is safe and productive to collaborate, and where we set aside ego and competition and focus on what is most important: saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. And another analogy we're using is that of an architecture firm as juxtaposed with the construction site, which is Mother Earth right now, where all kinds of physical stuff is happening and people are in varying forms of disagreement and conflict about what is happening, and misunderstanding and confusion, versus the architectural firm being a much more quiet, safe, and even detached space wherein we can first design before we build in the real world. Design up in the cloud so that we can build in the real world. So these are some of the analogies. And we've also talked about culture, the culture of the intentional community in the clouds, and drawing upon different cultures. Very notably, I keep coming back to Hispanic culture as a broad brushstroke, as something we can draw upon extensively for co-creating this new culture for the intentional city in the clouds. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna pause the Collabversation recording. I just paused that, but the Collabversation recording continues. Any questions about that? Oh, Alan, you may not know about that. I don't know if you know about Collabversation versus Collabversation. We've done this twice before, and if you look on my YouTube channel, you can see Collabversation and Collabversation version 1.0, and then 2.0. This will be 3.0. And the basic idea is very simple. The Collabversation, which is a longer word, is also a longer form recording where we just record everything, basically. And, you know, unless someone says, hey, please pause recording, and then of course we do that. The Collabversation, slightly shorter word and much shorter format, where we only record basically the nuggets, right? And when we're just hanging out and talking and figuring it out, we don't record that. We just record the synthesis, basically. Or if someone says, hey, I've got an inspiration, get it in the Collabversation, I'll hit record, no problem. Anyway, any questions about that, just let me know. Meanwhile, see, now I'm going to record the Collabversation again. And by the way, if you want to talk, just raise your hand or jump in, don't hesitate, but no pressure. I'm going to continue recording the Collabversation. Another element of ICIC is the bridge to get to ICIC. El Puente, and which acknowledges, by the very fact that we need a bridge, it acknowledges kind of this gap or separation. Not that we want to create any, but it's It's just a matter of fact that there is a degree of separation or a gap between the real world, where we're playing by the old rules. Let's face it, this is a world of money and a world of separation and a world of ownership, right? Every square foot of land is owned by someone or something or some entity or some government or some sociopath, right? Whereas up in ICIC, in the intentional city, I would go so far as to say that everything is shared and everything is communal, right? Anyway, a whole different reality, where all ideas are shared, and we do our very, very best to, if not check our egos at the door, keep our egos in check. So these are two very different worlds: the real world of physical reality, which is in the process of exponential decline, exponential overheating, etc. And ICIC. So El Puente is at the same time a forum, a welcoming committee, a journey to ICIC, and a safe intermediate space, an in-between space, a boundary layer between these two worlds. With that, I'm going to pause the Collabversation. I just love doing that. Short bursts for the Collabversation, but we're still recording on the Collabversation. You know, we've been talking about in the last few days, this is all very new, this whole ICIC thing. But we've been talking about where was I going with this? Oh yeah, we've been talking about having something like an entry portal. So imagine the end of the bridge that brings you finally to ICIC, right? Something like a combination of a welcoming process and also an opportunity for certainly newcomers to express themselves and be heard and be known, right? One of the principles upon which the press conference is based is the principle, the belief that before people are really ready to listen, they first need to be heard, right? And so the press conference creates a space where, hey, whoever you are, wherever you're coming from, we want to hear from you, right? Now imagine we apply that principle to the entire intentional city, ICIC, right? Where whoever is coming in has at least an opportunity to express themselves and be heard by, ideally, some form of welcoming committee, for lack of a better word, right? And here's the thing, I think we need like new constructs for so many of these things. Like I say, welcoming committee, and then I think, gee, where did that come from? Something from the old world, right? What's the ICIC, not necessarily equivalent, but evolution from welcoming committee to more like getting to know you, right? A getting to know you process, getting known. And so imagine that for anyone who wants to can say, yes, I want to be known. I want to express myself. Great, we're recording. Have at it. Welcome, Jamin. Who are you? Where are you coming from? And I get to say blah, blah, blah. And it gets all recorded and transcribed. And imagine that that becomes for lack of a better word, part of my passport within ICIC, part of my identity. And in fact, just imagine that anything that we ever say that is recorded, that we're willing to be recorded, is part of our identity. Anything that we ever say on recording is part of our identity in ICIC. Why not? Right? It's just an idea, just a thought. And of course, if I say something that, oh my goodness, that's not what I meant to say, maybe I have an opportunity to say, hey, please strike that from the record, Your Honor. Right? But the real principle I'm driving towards here is a systematic way to be known by the city and by the residents and visitors to the city. Right? And if we can do that for an individual, why not also empower that for a community, a group, or a conversation? For example, a recurring conversation that's recorded. Anyway, let me give an example of a.
Does this mic work? Oh, it does.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Alan. Yes. Great to hear you again. Welcome back. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make a brief recording for the Collabversation. So we've been talking the last few minutes about some sort of a systematic way for people arriving in ICIC to express themselves and be heard and be recorded and be known by the city. So that as they move around the city, someone says, oh, who's that? Oh, that's Jamin. Oh, well, tell me about Jamin, and click, and you can learn all about Jamin by listening to his recordings, including perhaps very condensed versions, kind of like what we're doing with the Collabversation, kind of compressed expressions of me or what I believe in or whatever. Anyway, so that's one thought. And then we talked about extending that thought to conversations themselves. In fact, we're doing it right now because we've got the Collabversation, which is a long form recording of a long conversation. And then we have the Collabversation, which is a much more condensed expression of the same, in a way, a sort of a synthesis of most important points. And so let's say that there's a recurring conversation that meets every week for 4 hours, right? If you didn't want to watch, all 4 hours of each week of the last 10 weeks, which would be a 40-hour work week just to get caught up on the last 10 weeks, you could watch perhaps the Collabversation recording synthesis of the very last one, which in a sense, ideally would be a synthesis of everything that came before. So these are kind of examples of different forms of information and condensation. So we're kind of striking a balance here, it feels like to me, between long form conversation, which I totally believe in, as well as synthesis and condensation, which I also believe in. Anyway, I'm going to pause recording of the Collabversation. Just did that, but Collabversation recording continues. So, oh, Ananda's joining us. Awesome. Let me welcome Ananda. Ananda, welcome back. Welcome back. We are recording. We are recording currently the Collabversation, which is a long form recording, which we can also pause at any time. And from time to time, we record short bursts within the Collabversation, right? Which is going on in parallel, but not recording at the moment because we're only recording the nuggets in the Collabversation. Anyway, I'm really digging this new form, Collabversation versus Collabversation. All right, does everyone know each other here? In fact, I'm going to pause recording even on the Collabversation.
I always come up with profound things that surprise me, so it's good
Right,
to be.
we're recording on the Collabversation, but not the Collabversation. So carry on, Ananda. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, so this is Ananda Elise Reeves from Future Now Radio. I'm here today with a collaboration discussion with some people from around the world. We have Mexico, we have Hungary, we have US, we have Scotland, I do believe I heard, and we have North United States and South United States. So collectively, we're all here together making a difference, and I am excited to be a part of that. I'm complete.
Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Anyway, we've just been doing a bit of a synthesis of what we've been talking about, which I'm happy to re-synthesize for you, Ananda. A couple of the analogies that we've been playing with in terms of what is the ICIC, Intentional City in the Clouds. One analogy is sort of like a Montessori school, Waldorf school, a safe space for change makers and change-making communities, intentional communities, both real world and virtual, to come together and play together in a way that is first and foremost safe and also, you know, ideally co-creative, right? And loving and sharing and connecting and uniting, right? Another analogy is instead of everyone showing up at a construction site and everyone doing whatever they feel like and bumping into each other and having all kinds of conflicts in the process, that we first go to the architecture firm, right? And work it out there. Let me welcome Shannon. Shannon, welcome back, sister. Great to see you.
My. Do you guys ever go to bed?
The intentional city, ICIC, is the city that never sleeps. So
I hear that. Absolutely.
and we are recording, and we can pause anytime. Just do this or say, hey, Jamin, please pause. And we're recording the long form. Oh, pausing now, pausing now. Okay, recording on the Collabversation. And Ananda, you were raising your hand. Was that a thumbs up, I guess? You know, I really love the kind of Mr. Rogers neighborhood feel of this. People can just pop in. Oh, Mr. McFeely's here. Oh, what do you got? Anyway, we are living the dream. This is what I'm talking about. I feel like we're now in ICIC. We're here. Wow. Take a look around and feel the feeling of being in the intentional city in the clouds. Woo! We've come a long way.
One day,
yes, yeah.
One day, the whole world will be the ICIC, and when you go to the moon, you look back and see this big blue eye looking at you. It'll be the Earth.
Jamin, you were talking about some analogies that the group was going through. I'd like you to continue with that.
Oh, thank you. Happy to. So I've talked about the kind of Montessori school, Waldorf school, safe place, safe playground. You know, just imagine your favorite teachers that you ever had from preschool all the way through graduate school, all there on the playground, looking out, caring for, caring about, right? And contributing, right? It's the playground that we always wanted, right? Anyway, so that. Another analogy again is the construction, the random, chaotic, conflictive, construction site, which is not a bad metaphor for Mother Earth right now, right? I mean, there are people with chainsaws chopping down the Amazon in the Congo and Malaysia as we speak. And a lot of people are saying, no, 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 stop. And they're saying, you know, screw you, or worse, they're not even hearing the calls, right? So it's a construction site of conflict, more like a confluxion site than a construction site. And so what I'm basically saying is, hey, another thing that ICIC is the calm, collected architecture firm where we first draw concepts on the whiteboard and on paper, and we talk about it. What do we want to co-create together, right? And through this process of conversation, collaboration, etc., we reach consensus. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, great. Were it but that simple, right? And and then from once we've defined what we want and we've designed it, then we need a construction plan. What needs to happen first, second, third, etc., right? So there's another analogy, right? The architecture firm versus the construction site, right? The Montessori school versus the violent Brazilian favela, right? And so these are just analogies because we're, you know, what we're doing is we're creating the imagined city, right? The imagined city. The imagined community before we create the actual community, right? In fact, there was, I don't know, early in American history, modern American history, that is, United States history, there was this concept of the imagined city, and I think there were books written about it. And that's what we're doing now. We're imagining it into existence. We're speaking it into existence. And we're living it into existence. We're showing up here consistently and saying, hey, I'm here for ICIC. We've also talked a fair amount about the bridge, El Puente, the bridge between cultures, languages, peoples, and the bridge from, you know, the world as it is, the real physical world, up to ICIC. And why not the return trip? So it's a two-way bridge, right? Like when you create something wonderful up in the clouds and then you want to bring it back down to earth, how do you do that? Right? Because it's a whole different world. So anyway, these are among the things we've been talking about. We've also been talking about things like the press conference and even almost having, you know, two different bands, two different channels of the press conference, the AM band and the FM band, one being broadcasting within the city, where we're talking with each other within the culture and within the creative agreements and, dare I say, rules within the city. I like creative agreements better than rules, because it seems like something that's more evolutionary. We can evolve them, we can tweak them, we can try things out, and if they don't work, we can try some. Versus a rule, no, that's a rule, right? And we relate to it as a rule. And so creative, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one band of communication to other residents and visitors within ICIC. The other is communicating back down to earth. And again, a two-way communication channel. Why not? Between the earth, you know, earth to ICIC, ICIC to earth. And Alan was just talking about how, you know, one day everyone will be in ICIC, right? Looking down at the earth and co-creating the new world. Why not? Right? Let's all spend time in the architecture firm and figure out together what we want to co-create and how we want to do it and what's the plan. What's the objective? What's the mission? David.
Thank you. I love the ideas. As you're talking, I was hearing the image as you're talking, the ICIC and like the world at large we're living in, the imagery was going up to the ICIC and then coming back down to the world. That, for me, that implies a kind of like a hierarchical kind of construct. I'm just wondering if it might be worthwhile to look at it more of a circular construct, where somehow what you call the ICIC is kind of in the core, and then it radiates out to manifest in the concrete world.
Yeah, maybe like a torus, right? Where it goes into the center and then can be out, and so it's not above, it's not below, it's just kind of a different layer. Yeah, why not?
The circular aspect of it is I see with an eye, and an eye is circular.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Kate, sister, welcome back. We are recording the long form Collabversation, and from time to time recording on the Collabversation as well. So recording at the moment. We've been kind of synthesizing a bunch of stuff, and yeah. Anyway, I kind of feel like I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to go on mute. Recording continues on the Collabversation.
Well, I would just say greetings as I join you, as I listen in, and say I'm just off the celebration of the nuclear disarmament treaty that's been signed by almost 64 nations, I think they said. Of course, the big 9 aren't in, but giving us a whole lot of things to work with. Good day to call your congressman and just say, you know, we'd like to see. But of course, the problem of what we do with all of it now. But nevertheless, it's a good thing. 64 countries say we ban nuclear weapons, total ban on nuclear weapons. So that would be what I can bring.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kate, for that good news. Yes, Ananda.
I'd like to share my screen.
Oh, great. Let me make you co-host so you can do that. All right, you're good to go.
Mom, just a second. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
So this is Chuck Fresco's design, and he designed all of his cities with in a circular way. And for him, it was just an imagination. He just imagined it all. And I actually have been there. I've been inside these buildings right here. Let me just... And so this was a man who lived for over 100 years on our planet and spent probably 90 of it dreaming and imagining. And, you know, he designed these ideas for cities. And you'll notice that every one of them has got a central hub in them, except for the ones out in the ocean. And the central hub is the brains. That's where everything is monitored. They monitor the atmosphere, they monitor the water, they monitor the water pressure, they manage the plants and the air and the transportation and the people and the dog park. I mean, whatever it is, everything from here is managed out from outside. And then these buildings here, that's where people design what goes into the brains here. And out here, it's all green. And you can live with lots of water around and lots of greenery, and it all seems so natural. And we can even do this city out in the ocean. So I'm sure most of you who are on here know very much of Jacques Fresco's work. But the point is, for me personally, with the birth of ICIC, it's becoming a reality to me. And, you know, this is a physical form of what we're developing in the cloud at this time. So, and here's, you know, several cities all connected together. This could go on forever. This happens to be on the water. So I want to, you know, just keep the vision going about everything being in a circular pattern and everything making sense. You know, he took out all public transportation in his cities. There is no private vehicles. They've got, this was my office when I worked there. This was where I actually worked from, that place right there. These are actual buildings you can go see in Florida. And you see all the greenery around and all that. This is like living in the suburbs, but they're all green and private. Of course, they grow their own food and they have all the technology we need to really advance. And so when I was there, I lived among these models. I could see them every day. And it was really absolutely very amazing. There's the door to the archive building. That's where they keep all the archives. They keep it very cold in there. They've got letters from children in elementary school from 70 years ago. And it was all pretty amazing. And they were making everything digital so that they could make a movie out of it. So my job was to scan these hundreds of thousands of letters that Jacques got in his lifetime. And they'll put it all together and they'll make a story out of it and make a movie out of it. And I'm convinced the movie will be right on time and not a minute early. And so anyway, you know, we want to continue this vision. And so what we're doing is, you know, we're creating we're creating the feeling for the city. Jacques Fresco did the design. He spent many, many, many hours over a design table, inventing these ideas. And his life will not go unnoticed. His life work will not go untapped. You know, it's up to the rest of the world from now on to, you know, fulfill the dream and finish it. But here's the thing that I wanted to say. Jacques Fresco did a huge amount of design, and he designed things that made sense to us in the future. Like, for example, I was going to say, he took out all the private transportation. There were no traffic jams. The whole city had a conveyor belt type system on it. And you might be able to see it here. And so you live out here and you take a tram into your work areas, which are around here. And there was never a traffic jam. The brains in the middle always monitored the conveyor belts so that there was never a traffic jam. It ran 24/7. You can hop on anytime. You were at work within 2 or 3 minutes. There were no traffic jams. You know, the thing is that he made some beautiful designs, and he took into account everything, all the systems that are broken right now. You know, transportation system and shipping is broken. We don't need to be bringing stuff from all around the world. We can create everything locally. And the man that I'm working for now, James Jones, he's actually invented a system that can make manufacturing happen on a small scale. So he has a cube spawn. I've talked about that a lot, but his design is designed to go out into the world and build all the parts that you need to build the city or the transportation or whatever. But here's what I want to say. Even though I saw every single one of Jacques Fresco's designs and they were absolutely brilliant, one of the main things that Jacques Fresco is my hero about is he not only just designed amazing cities that had solutions to all of the problems we have now, but he talked very strongly about the human element. And, you know, he says in the future, children will just be raised differently. And that's how we're going to have a future, is because the children are no longer going to be raised with kinds of concepts that they've been raised with that creates violence and separation and drugs and addictions and all that other stuff. So before we can build these physical actual cities, we need to build the city within our inner work and have a unified humanity before we start building the physical buildings. And so what we're doing here by just connecting and collaborating and dreaming and thinking of analogies, what we're doing here is we're taking care of that human element part, because we need to be a whole entire different human race before we can actually realistically all move into this city and make it work. We can't be taking our old junk in with us. We have to transform ourselves. And that's what this is doing. This is the very, very beginning of it. And I'm so happy that we're talking about the human element of the design for our city first, because technology is easy to talk about. The other day we had a guy on here named Michael, and he's a techie. I mean, he's doing all of the software, developing all the stuff, and talking about all these other developers, and they've always got everything already in place. And my argument is, or not argument, but my come from is that we have all the technology that we need. And Jacques Fresco said, you know, in the future, we'll have all the technology, all of the resources, and all of the people power we need to completely reset our cities. But we have to evolve as a human race. So I'm so happy to see this element of the city taking off, because right alongside all the technology that's rising up in order to make all of this work, at the same time, the people are connecting, they're learning about themselves, they're learning to deep listen, they're learning to co-create together, work as teams together. Last night I had a wonderful, wonderful experience of wordsmithing with 2 other people about our paragraph of our introduction to the ICIC. And it was a really, really fun experience. We were all online, we were all collaborating, we were all putting our heads together. We had a professional editor with us, which was so cool. And we had a visionary and a wordsmith, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. So the point is that this platform opens the door for us to be able to develop ourselves internally and to stop our own separation before we can think about having a big fancy city like any of these guys. Because I'm imagining the technology just taking off on some design of some city like this, and then making it available for one day, the people will move in. And who are those people going to be? They're going to be us. The very us that we are, connecting, collaborating, co-creating. We have a new future, a new vision. We have a new attitude. And that's the people that's going to be moving in to match the technology that's already been invented. So let's carry on. And I'm complete. I had to throw that little 2 cents in there about how valuable the human element is. In order for us to develop big city, we have to be developed on the inside and stop our own separation. I love the little rattles. I'm going to have to get one. Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me share that thought.
Goodness, thank you, Ananda. You know what came to mind as I was listening to you is the city inside. The city inside.
Oh, the
'Cause
city within.
The city within, and it's the city inside. An analogy goes to the movie The Sea Inside, a beautiful Spanish film. If you've seen it, shake your rattle. But anyway, the the city inside, it's the city inside our minds and our hearts and our shared imagination, right? And just by talking about it, we're already inhabiting that city. We're co-inhabiting it together now, right? And I've thought of another great movie, a Japanese anime movie, Laputa, Castle in the Sky by Miyazaki, where those two youngsters get on this butterfly paraglider and the winds take them up to this castle in the sky, and they land in this beautiful field with flowers and everything, and it just feels like this utopian place. And so I'm also reminded of the Beach Boys song, you know, the more that we talk about it, it only makes it better to dream about it. So let's talk about it. You know, and it's just like we're there. We're there now just by talking about it, right? And dreaming into it. We're inhabiting ICIC, the intentional city.
It's going to be a great day, Jamin, when really the technologies in line, the resources are already discovered and used and spent, and then one day we all arrive at the city and we can literally give each other an amazing hug. I can see that coming.
Well, let's hug each other now, because I proclaim that that day is today, and we are there now. And I'm going to go ahead and record the Collabversation, continuing recording. All right, we've just had a beautiful journey with Ananda into some beautiful visuals from Jacques Fresco, etc. I proclaim that that day is here. We are in the intentional city. We're living in it right now, this moment. And as I look at today's date, it's 12221. Somebody call Christopher and tell him that the magic number is here. It is now. We are inhabiting the city now. Add all those digits up and it's the magic number 8. Multiply those digits. It's also the magic number 8, the number of infinity. That's right. Add them up, you get 8. Multiply them all together, you get 8. We're here now. Welcome to the intentional city in the clouds. You're here. You're there. We've landed. We have landed. How exciting. Woo! Yes, David.
Thank you. Nanda, thank you for the imagery of the circles. And what I kind of heard you saying is we need to get clear of the kind of communication systems to ensure that the infrastructure of the humanity that occupies those spaces is operative. And I've been trained in the council process at the Ojai Foundation, and it's based on a circle of people passing a talking stick. It's thousands of years old. So in proceeding forward, we're not only coming up with something new, we are also standing on the shoulders of our ancestors in bringing forward what they found was a way to really come together with each other and talk to and hear each other. And there's four simple intentions. When I have this, I have permission to talk from my heart. When I don't have this, I have permission to listen from my heart. And with the modeling of that, the other two intentions are, when I have this, I commit to, first of all, talking leanly. In other words, say as little of the story as possible to get to the core of what's going on in here, and that I say it as briefly as not briefly, but as spontaneously as I can. You know, sometimes when we're in circle and someone else has a stick, sometimes what people do and when they don't have the stick is, rather than listening, they're sitting there trying to figure out what they're going to say when it's their turn. Those kind of things, or they get in there and while someone's talking, they're internally engaging in this inner debate, and they aren't even hearing what the other person is saying. So there's a spirit that's inherent there that is really important. I mean, and how rarely have each of us been listened to in this lifetime, you know, effectively, you know, and to envision a city and a, you know, a structure that not only in terms of the physical part of it, but the internal part mirrors that is nothing short of miraculous. So when with that, I've spoken. Thank you.
And the talking stick for Zoom is a digital hand. I just discovered it.
There you go. Yes.
Yes, we have our reporter, Clark Kent from the Daily Plan It. Yes, Clark, carry on.
Jamin, when's the next time we meet?
That'll be Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And the current schedule is Tuesdays from 11 to 5. All times are Pacific time. Tuesdays 11 to 5, Thursdays 11 to 5, and Fridays 10 to 2. So 16 hours per week of Soma, of living in the intentional city. I can't wait till we get to move here permanently.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna give each other a big hug.
Well, we're living there now. We're here now.
We are. It's true.
Yes.
But there will be a real hug on that day. What time is that on Friday?
10 to 2.
So that's 12 to
4 Central.
Okay, good. Alrighty then. Well, I propose that now. So what section is this one? Is it this one? Is it this our usual Friday? This isn't Friday, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday? Oh, sorry. Every day is the same around here. So this is the usual Friday. What do you call it?
The block party. The block
party. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to start. Even though IC is just drooling all over us and we have lots to talk about it. Next week on Tuesday from, I have to say it in my time so I get it right, 1 to 7. That will be the architects meeting. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Actually, all those times that I mentioned are all about architecting ICIC. That's what that's how we planned it out yesterday. Not to say that can't change. So feel free to propose whatever. But yes, all
I
those
would like
16.
I'd like to propose that we gather together some topics and some speakers on specific topics. Like, I would like to see a whole bunch of techie people on the same call, and then and with enough notice to let people know that, you know, coming up on whatever day it is, the topic will be the technology of the ICIC. And then just put a bunch of these geeks in the same room together and watch them reinvent something that we can all use, because it isn't just theirs, you know, something that belongs to the world, the whole group, you know, and let them co-create together. But I'd like to put them all in the same room. That's been my solution to everything in my training life, is whenever I was up against some kind of a conflict, or there was some kind of a snag in the design, my theory has always been put them in the same room. And amazing things happen when they're all in the same room. I'm going to take this call. I'll be right back.
And I was just going to add, put them in the same room and feed them.
A dolphin in the room? What was that?
Yeah, the dolphin call. You know, I'm just about to, Julie Kroll said she was going to call me this morning, so I'm just about, so I'm writing her, is there any way you could jump on and meet this Ananda lady? I don't know, I jump on today and she's talking about that we need to heal the inner self, and the connection field just screams. Except for I misspelled that connection field every time I jump on. So I'm hitting send. What the heck? She didn't call me. She said she was going to. A couple things I wanted to mention. Because I've been talking about this, you know, I'm trying to network. Yesterday I was at Pachamama Alliance, and I had written to Josh about a month ago, and he seemed quite interested. So I thought, well, I'm going to show up for his thing or whatever. So anyway, it was Lynn and Bill Twist are the ones that are kind of big in that. And they've got some communities that they're starting and working with. And of course, you know me, I'm always wanting to put things together somehow. Anyway, they talk about this game changer movement. And I haven't officially looked it up because I knew you'd probably all, you know, probably already be aware of the game changer and just kind of wondering where that fit in. And then, of course, I'm off Humanities team. Ia, the elder Black lady in St. Croix, who usually does the ancestral training, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better word, just a gathering of sharing of ideals around this ancestral wisdom and, you know, sharing her perspective, obviously, as we all know, that's all we can do. And so anyway, Ia didn't come on today. So I went to Humanity Rising, and as we know, it's this, you know, the day of the big nuclear treaty that could take us into a complete ban on the dang nuclear weapons. And so, isn't it so heartening that humanity is seeing that we don't want to create soldiers? And then, of course, the counterpoint is Biden just put a bunch more soldiers in Syria. And, you know, I have to hope that, why can't we use troops for other things? You know, I believe there's a potentiality that we are going to switch the mindset of, you know, we truly are, they're peacekeepers. The police were started as peacekeepers. And that entire embodiment of that mindset is happening just because we've had to look at so much, oh my God, we did these things. You know, I think we're kind of having to come to terms with everything we haven't liked about ourselves and where I'm going at this. And so on the Humanity Rising team today, when they get to the aftershack, and I did mention it to grandmother yesterday, but I feel like Ananda would so, and which is where Jamin met Claire. You know, Claire, what a beautiful lady she is. I just think Ananda would find such a gelling, if you will, with her ideals there. They're so ready to parenthesis, please, Pentagon. And Shannon MacArthur came on yesterday and announced that she has had this proposal called Our Heart Gardens as like a center for the community, the hub of the community. So she wrote to a city, Kamloops, where she works. Yes, and she got a letter from the city. They are ready to institute Our Heart Gardens. And yeah, it's another one of those things. Well, let's take it everywhere and cook the food there and redesign our cities. But we know what a thing that is for the mind who's just so busy stuck in the world trying to raise the children and can't get off a survive mode. Anyway, but it's a conversation that keeps coming up. We need to speak deeper and further about this and get to know one another. So let's face it, it takes a while to just, like, I'm sure I'm talking too much. I want to hear from Daily Planet, but I'm sure it'll take me a while to get his brogue. Like it did James for a while to understand where he's come. Like Jimena, it took me a while before now I understand every word, but I didn't at first. You get my trunk. It's just that gelling time is not for planning. That's for the inner healing. And I hear what the lady's saying. And that's why if Julie Crow pops on the screen, I'll know there's magic in the universe. Yeah. And that she believes in me enough to come on. And I thank you for listening, and I'll pass the talking brother. Well, I'm going to carry on because I realize how sometimes I tend to take us off topic. And because I do realize that we're talking about dreaming this reality into being and how we're just understanding the power of our thoughts and our manifestation abilities. And, we just got the best people here to do it with. And Daily Planet, can you let me hear that, brother? Because I haven't met you enough to know your passion yet. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm in Western South Dakota. I'm in the treaty land of the Lakota Indian. And I got my victory tea that we're drinking here the last couple of days because I could just go on forever. I'm a never ending story, but I realize it gets to me and I real quick. I say me and I, the anagram for I am one. Y'all got your own beautiful story, and I'm glad that I'm here to play with you once in a while. Really passing the feather on now.
So you want to hear the Scottish accent, do you? You're muted, so. A demonstration of the Scottish accent. If like you did in the day. No, that's broad Scottish. I was saying,
but that's not what I was meaning, brother. No, I want you to talk to me about what you're passionate about. I was trying to express that it'll take me a while probably to understand what you do speak already. You're already the Scottish brogue. I don't want you to be nobody but who you are. Loving you.
Only just discovered the conversation, this Zoom call, what was it, 2-3 days ago? Prior to that, there was a year of COVID where all the income I was making, everything collapsed for a year. All the recovering from that, antidepressants and counselors and all sorts of different things. And then about a week ago, I found a mentor, and she had changed her work schedule during COVID as well. Instead of charging $200, she charged free completely free for during COVID. So she organised to meet up with me once a week and give me encouragement. And I was kind of thinking, oh, not a whole week before I like get any more encouragement, because it was great. And all she really did on the first call was sent me 3 links. And like the day, even just like the day after and the second day after, I said to her, it was like you planted a seed and it just grew into this massive tree and tentacles stretching in every direction, because it led me here, it led me to other groups. It's like, I really have to consider like 9:39, 20 minutes almost to bedtime. And I've been staying up all night and can't get to sleep. Just so many things to do, so many. I've been in groups like this, 2 or 3 groups like this before. The similar part of the conversation is everybody wants to be the group that wins. You look at the world and all the different countries trying to win, who's the strongest, who's the best. And a lot of these groups are like, it's the main problem that needs to be focused on is nobody wins because the world wins. So yeah, it's like each group that I've been in, and the next one was like an evolution of all the same ideas, but like a step closer to getting it right. And this is kind of pretty much the kind of platform that they're all trying to build, is something where you can come together and everyone gets a voice. And I'll stop using my voice now.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure being with you all the morning. Thank you for the food for the thought. I'm gonna get some other food, and I wish we can join together very soon. Bye.
Very
Stay
good.
safe.
Great to see
Bye.
you,
Love
Jimena.
you.
Yes,
Victor. Love you too.
Bye.
See you
Blessings.
soon.
Brother David, do you have any experience living in an intentional community of any kind?
Trying to think, not really. The only experience I have of like an intentional community is doing some 3, 4, 5 day like retreats where people come together and do what we do here. It's about as close as I've come to it, you know. Like I've done several 6-day conferences with Michael Mead, you know, which are, you know, which were mind blowing in and of themselves, you know. But, yeah. The heart, it was kind of interesting, and almost all those experiences, the hardest part of the experience was figuring out how to come back into the quote unquote real world and function again. How do you bring back what you got there and try to function on that basis in this world? You know, I remember that the first few times, and this goes back like 30 years. First few times I did those experiences, you know, I came out of there like flying high, like feeling like I was Superman, and I get to come back down into this world again, and we got within a day or two, I'm back to being Clark Kent all over again. And the first 2 times I experienced that, I actually have to say, I had this inherent inner sense of betrayal. like my ego wanted to say, oh, that was all bullshit, didn't mean anything anyway. you know, so I found that there's a real, you know, especially since we're in this bifurcated world where sometimes we're living in a place based on the ICIC in the place we're there, and then we have to come back into the everyday world. And how do you do reentry? How do you do reentry and maintain what you got there, and find some way to have it function in this way in this time? And one of the things I found was to be real vigilant in who I shared it with. You know, like sometimes you come back, I want to share with everybody, and it's like 95% of the people, their hearts and spirits and heads are not there, and all you're gonna do is create pain for them and you by trying to even go there. You know, and to just really be almost protective of what I get. You know, and I gotta say, and everything you've been speaking, Jamie, this morning about that, that's really a tragedy. You know, how do you go from a place where you find this inner treasure to come back and have it be treated like a garbage heap? You know, I mean, even hearing the languaging of the politics, you know, in the mainstream, there's like implications of that. Just I'm hearing it already happening just in day two of the new administration. I'm hearing all the setups of the conflicts already, the places of people hoarding their own opinions and not listening to each other. You know, so yeah. So yeah, I outside of those experiences, I haven't done an intentional community on an ongoing basis. I witness it being challenged to sustain it first. You know, it's like people really have their convictions tested. It's one thing to have the ideas and feel, but then to go into everyday world and deal with everyday people whose hearts and minds and things are still kind of locked in the old way. It's wow. So and that really aligns with what Amanda was talking about, So there it is. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, to build on what you're saying, David, I've had similar experiences, notably coming out of, say, a landmark forum weekend or advanced course or any of these other courses, and then coming back to Earth all excited, and only to crash land upon reentry, right? Now, imagine that one of the cool things about ICIC is one of the functions of this virtual city is to hold space for all these intentional communities and 6-day retreats and magical 3-day weekend retreats and all this. Hold the space for it. So among other things, there's a place that you can go to anytime, all the time. And in fact, one of the things that really helped birth the conversation as an ongoing 24/7 thing is this last summer in July, we had the harmonic convergence, and we were the after party for the harmonic convergence, and we had upwards of a couple hundred people at a time. And some of the folks there said that they really love these harmonic convergence events, but the worst thing about it is when it's over, it's over. And then of course that coincided with our birthing the 24/7 channel, and so here was a place where it didn't have to be over. And so, like the dude who went on the acid trip and never came back, there are people who went on the harmonic convergence and have not had to come back because they can continue to be here. Like Marco, for example, and Christopher up in Canada. Welcome back, Ananda. We're still recording on the Collabversation and just going to amazing spaces after you launched us a bit ago. And a quick heads up, at the top of the hour, I'm going to need to break for a few hours because I got some very important family stuff going on. but then I'll be back at 7 p.m. Pacific time for Food Healers. Anyway, but I'm here for the next 12 minutes or so, and so happy to be here.
I
Passing the
will
talking back.
stick with you to the top of the hour, and then I need to go myself. But what can we create miraculously in the next 12 minutes? What is that? Everything. That's the answer.
Well, you know, as like they say at Landmark, transformation happens in an instant, right, Kate? Kate, sister,
Wow.
go for it.
Oh yeah. Well, I would just say that, yeah, we were kind of actually there, grandmother, that we said this intentional community that we're creating, we're not coming back anymore. This is kind of where I live now. I find that it's really taken me out of doing anything local, even though I've tried to reach out to the food lady a few times. It's almost like this. Some people can see you and some people cannot. And I never had good luck getting into local. Well, it seemed like I was never rooted enough. And, you know, didn't have the experience of a father or anything that, you know, brings you some of those roots. And so never really felt instrumental in local government too much, you know, never got beyond volunteering at the precinct or at the local museum. Anyway, as you speak, though, I think all of us intrinsically want to be involved in some kind of city hall, if you will. And this electronic city hall ideal, you know, the shared governance where everyone's voice can be heard and with the talking circle principle is honored and respected. It's a beautiful thing. Now, obviously, Julie Kroll had something else to do or she would have showed up. Grandmother, every time I've arrived for 3 times in a row now, when I come on, you're talking about this inner space and the inner self and the meditation and what can we do in 12 minutes? We can come into this place of the great imagining and visualize your cities and visualize Jamin's little cargo trailer, the Tesla pulling his little food for the future trailer in this new city that we all know we want to live in. And for me, that hub, that central place, it's not offices or city hall or any of that. It's the kitchen. And we cook together and we create together. And there's a longhouse space where children are allowed to explore and find their passion and they're heard. We listen to that unprogrammed mind and we quit making these soldiers of war and we mold warriors of peace based on the principles of love and respect. Pretty simple stuff. And just work within the circular structure. So that's my visualization. And I don't know what we do in the next 10 minutes. I'm passing the feather.
Well, I can't wait for the world to catch on to the fact that we have the opportunity for the first time in humanity to create and recreate and reinvent our own city life. We are powerful beyond measure, as Marianne Williamson says. And when we get our hearts and minds together, we are completely unstoppable. And we've never had this chance before because we've always been controlled by something, money, politics, education systems that are broken. You know, our poor parents had no mentors or models for people who live in peace. They just did the best they could with what they had, but they didn't know how to teach us how to live in peace. They did great for what they had to deal with. I mean, they're pretty much out there in the world by themselves, and it really wasn't until I was a parent that parenting education even came around. So, you know, we've been living in generation after generation after generation with absolutely no models on how to live together in peace and unity. And now, you know, I'm so excited about having a woman in the White House, an interracial woman in the White House, because, you know, according to astrology, these times right now are going to, the patriarch energy is going to take a backseat, and the feminine energy, it's time for it to shine. And that's in alignment with astrology, with where the planets are and how everything is lined up in the cosmos, that it's assisting us even at that level. So when we get into more of the feminine, we can imagine that we'd create cities and do things with our money and with our choices that are tender and caring and nurturing. And it's no longer about the big arm wrestle with money or arm wrestles with politics or whatever, but the feminine is going to be coming to the front of the seat now. And we're starting off as of January 20th, which is right, actually, the very time when all of the stars lined up for that beginning to happen. It happened on January 20th with the alignment of the planets in our galaxy, let alone other galaxies. So things are lining up to support us on a level that we're not even, you know, I can't say not aware of, but it's really time for the feminine to take take control of the planet. I don't mean that word control in a negative way, but if you think for the last 2,000 years, it's been the patriarch governance, and nothing against men. It's not about men. It's about male energy and female energy, and having our whole entire world organized and ran by the patriarch side of our energy. It went into ego and greed and broken systems and money and power and all of that. Whereas if we're operating from the feminine perspective, the feminine is the Mother Earth. The feminine is the spiritual educator of the children. The feminine is the softer. The feminine would do kind things to the planet in a caring and nurturing way. I can't even imagine if all the women got together and made the decisions that they have been made for our planet. We would not be drilling and fracking our planet. We would be putting up solar panels and wind generators, and maybe even putting some ribbons on those wind generators or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's time right now, as of January 20th, that everything came into alignment to help us in a galactic way. And that's just the same time that ICIC was born. And it's the beautiful that the grandmothers come on here, and the softer thinking men come here. And you know, we don't have any power mongers here. We're all gentle people, all wanting gentle love for our Mother Earth, and that's the solution. And so I'm so excited about the times that we live in. I have a favorite expression that says, this is the long awaited coming of age. It says, this day is the day of God. No sun or moon has ever witnessed a day like this day, for this day is the day of God. If all the prophets of old had wanted to live in any time, they would choose to live in this time, because this time is the day of God. And it's the long-awaited coming of age of humanity. So we are right in it, you guys. And I am so thrilled, because if I would having all this energy by myself in my little room here on the ranch I'm on, it's like, oh, that would have been fun. But the fact that I've got city members now to talk to and greet with every day. The only thing wrong with this is, the last time there was a break between the call, between the calls, I couldn't wait for the next one, you know. So, but so the point is that we are being assisted in every way, cosmically, energetically, even money is changing its energy. I do a whole relationship with money class, and the last one I did was astounding, because people's relationship with money started to become more about relationship with love, and money is love, because that's how we're taken care of in these times. But when we evolve to be better human beings, money will be more love than it ever has been. So when people start loving money like they love God, and that's how God, or whatever you want to call that, I call it God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call that, there's something much bigger than us wanting our maturity to happen. And so we have a Course in Miracles student here, which I totally respect, and who knows what else. But the point is, we're all here at the same time, at this time in history. And, you know, I'm so glad to have people to share this with. Anytime I want, I can get on here and you guys are here. You know, we have scheduled times and those are cool, but, you know. So thank you all for being here and being yourselves, coming with your beautiful feminine energy heart that's all about more love and more possibilities. I just learned that my brother Jamin and I have had similar paths on our spiritual development. It's no wonder we're such a good team. But there has been a lot of really good training on the planet for the last 50 years that have led us to this point. And turns out Jamin and I had some of that experience. It was really awesome. But I have to tell you that education was ahead of its time, because it shifted me forever. And you know, I was a young woman when I took all those trainings and I did all that stuff, but it brought me to my years now where I can completely, you know, I can completely spend all that nurturing energy I have on something that's now productive. Because before this, I would try and spend that energy that I learned, and it didn't go anywhere. But now it will, because we're assisted in many, many ways, in many, many levels. And we've got the feminine energy coming in to rule the world now, which is going to change everything. And we all get to be a part of that. We were all part of the patriarch energy too. Like it or not, we all got to be controlled, and we all got to be stifled and made into wage slaves, and, you know, deal with money. Every one of us has to deal with money, because that's the way the patriarch set that up. Nobody here doesn't need money to live, you know. We got to be part of the patriarch establishment for our planet too. And so looking forward to a bright future. It is the top of the hour. I promised that I would let my friend go by now, and I also need to check out.
Ananda, are you coming back this evening for the Food Healer segment?
No, I'm not coming back. I actually have a date.
Oh, okay. Well, enjoy yourself. But Julie Crow wrote me back, and she said she's babysitting right now. So I just got, because I've been telling her about you. Because when things that I've heard coming out of you make me go, oh my gosh, that already exists. And so
I love you so much.
The magic that already exists about 8 hours a day. And Julie and Jamin finally see how wonderful they both are and how much they're just gonna help one another. And anyway, it's happening. But anyway, so I was writing her back, and I was gonna tell her to come on the Food Healers if you were there. But I'll let her know that, and you can meet Ananda at Solution Club next Tuesday, correct?
Yep, next Tuesday, 1 to 7 my time, I'll be here. And I'm dedicated.
Excellent. And
As long as Jamin's here, I'm here, because we're a team, man. You know, we're gonna be at the same thing. We're just bouncing off each other, making it happen. So, you know, it's a lot of hours, but I am here for that.
He's get in line. He's got a lot of groupies. Are you in
Yeah.
California?
Me, I'm in Texas right now, but I'm just on
Okay, so
assignment.
you're in Central Time Zone. Your
Yeah.
1 to 7 is Central Time. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and just be in the place where I can really open up and celebrate with and get understood. I could get gotten, you know, the assignment I'm on is really precious and very beautiful, but really, honestly, nobody's home here. You know, there aren't any lights on. I'm being
Grandmother, I'm sorry, I
treated-
must interrupt you one more time. Not true. And the other hit I've gotten with you, I'm kind of a connector of sorts. They call
Yeah.
me Sacred Net Connector. When I'm on the humanities team, I hear you. I hear you. And they're, you know, it's Claire and people like Claire that get on Humanity Rising. So I was looking in the chat for your email and I will ship something off to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry to keep you.
I'm putting my email in and then I'm checking out.
Awesome. And Ananda, I just want to put in a huge gratitude for you and acknowledgement that your leadership here is totally transforming this space. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And I love how we're all working together. And we really needed you here.
Oh, well, it goes both ways. I've needed a home for a long time. It's really hard to be way ahead of your time all your life. And all of a sudden, everything lines up. And it's like, I've waited for this day forever.
Well, this is kind of like yogurt, right? As more milk gets poured in, pardon the non-vegan analogy, but as more milk gets poured in, let's just call it oat milk. As more oat milk gets poured in, it gets benevolently transformed into oat yogurt. So as people jump into the vat, they get transformed and see their own potential just explode. So just as you are coming alive here, you're helping us come alive. So it is just symbiotic, multiotic, eukaryotic, and anything else that ends in otic. Exotic, I won't go on, but you get where this is going.
Well, you guys are awesome. Let's just keep this going and multiply ourselves tenfold, which means, you know, the next call we have on here, we should have 20 people and then 30 and then 3,000. And then let's just keep doing that because like somebody said, I think Alan, I don't know who said it, but there'll be a time when we're going to be all in the city.
That's it.
And South Dakota Katie's going to write to Ananda because Julie Kroll wants to be connected.
Oh.
She says, you know, she's babysitting, so she couldn't come on, and then you're not going to be here. So she's like, here's my email. So I'm going to send it to you.
What a beautiful connector you are. We need you. We need the connecting
goodness.
energy more than you ever know because right now, that's
my
powerful.
pleasure. It's my pleasure. See, I don't do any, you all do the work. I just appreciate it.
But you're such a mirror for me. I mean, you light up my mirror. You know,
you'll be hearing from me.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
it's,
so sweet.
it's the little sun in my bay window. Because we are all, I am the light. My light shines brightly as a beacon of hope for all. And when we join our lights in divine service to the divine will of the world, yoo-hoo, intentional city. Living in it.
Moving in it.
All right.
Talk to you guys on Tuesday.
Love
if
you,
not before,
Ananda.
you never know.
And have a great day.
I'm going to do that. Bye.
All righty. Awesome. See you soon.
The holding hands, I got to get that perfected. Get in the middle of my screen. Definitely a good use of 12 minutes.
All righty. Well, I'm going to take a break myself. Would anyone like to be host in particular?
I'm getting ready to exit myself.
All righty.
Put on the cafe music for a few hours. We'll be back for Food Healers.
Awesome. All
you.
right. Any takers for host? If not, I think I'll just make Marco host by default.
Yeah, man.
What's that,
Um,
Alan?
Can I've got co-host there. Can I test a screen share playing a video and see if you can hear the sound? Because
Sure.
if I get left in here by myself at some point in the middle of the night and somebody comes in, there's no one else here, I'll just play one of yesterday's videos from your YouTube channel.
Oh, excellent, brother.
Yeah. Would you like to be host,
I guess
Alan?
I can hang around. I'm going to be scrubbing the floor, but I can be hanging around. So I'll be listening, brother Alan. How's that? And if you want me, just holler Kate and I'll come on screen. So yeah,
All
I
right.
can help you out, brother. I'll take it for a couple hours.
Okay, I've made you co-host. I'll just go ahead and make you host, Kate, hostess, and feel free to pass it on if you need to, whether to Alan or Marco or whoever, or even to my computer if it's still on. Okay.
The
All right.
doorbell rings when somebody comes in. I hear a doorbell, right?
That's right.
Okay. I'm good.
All right, your hostess, Kate. Love you all. What an amazing day. Incredible. All right, not to be forgotten. See you all soon.